Today on Smooth Jazz, we'll take a look at the preseason games and some notable standouts.
Plus, a preview of this week's first games of the regular season and a follow-up to the ever-changing Utah Jazz color scheme story.
Stay tuned to the end for the details of our first giveaway. All this and more today on Smooth Jazz. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Smooth Jazz, the best Utah Jazz podcast in the game. I'm Kyle Bowman here with Jackson Ringer, and today is Jazz Basketball Eve. We are less than 24 hours away from the regular season.
Dude, it's a good day. It's an exciting day. I feel like it's the eve of something really special, a really special season. I feel it. This year's the year. I'm all in on this year, and it's an honor to be back with you, Kyle. You know, they said we couldn't do it. They said we couldn't record a second episode. We had all these haters, all these doubters. They were all working against us, but here we are, back in the studio.
And they'll be hating even more tomorrow night when we're at the game. Me and Jackson, and also our producer Jax, will all be at the game tomorrow night. Excited to see them in person for the first time since they lost the Clippers.
Yes, sir.
But we'll start out today with a little bit of Jazz news. First of all, Zaire Wade has signed with the Salt Lake City Stars. Is that nepotism or is he that good?
I don't know. We don't care because we love D Wade. And will Zaire Wade ever get minutes in a Jazz uniform? I don't know, but it would be really cool if it happened.
Would be really cool. We love the Wades. Happy to have Zaire Wade in Salt Lake. Might have to catch a Stars game this season.
Yep.
Also, if you haven't already seen, the Jazz have made their picks on CLB versus Donda. Almost half of them didn't know what that meant. There was Bogey. Bogey said he doesn't listen to it.
I wonder what Bogey listens to.
I'm
thinking like Croatian, like folk music.
Do you think? I wonder that as well. Joe Ingles asked what that meant, and I was surprised how many people picked Certified Lover Boy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Donovan Mitchell was pro Donda.
Yes, of course, the greatest player in the league would be a fan of the greatest album of the year. It only makes sense.
But a lot were CLB.
Yeah.
But go take a look at that on the Jazz social media if you're interested to see who picked who. In other Jazz news, it's been recently announced that the Jazz will be offering a new streaming service so that you don't have to have Dish or DirecTV. Fubo TV will now carry AT&T Sportsnet. However, $65 a month does not carry TNT, so you'll miss at least 4 Jazz games this season. So it's not ideal. But Ryan Smith responded to that tweet. He replied and said, "Poco a poco."
Which, what does that mean, Kyle?
That means little by little. He's a very cultured man, Ryan Smith.
Very cultured.
So I think he's working to make it more available, and it's about time.
Yeah, I mean, when I woke up and I saw the tweet or whatever of the news story that said Jazz add new streaming option, I was super hyped. Because that's what we've been asking for forever as Jazz fans, a way for it to be easier to watch the games. And then once I clicked on the article and read more details about it, it's not as promising as I thought it was. I mean, Fubo is still like pretty expensive, and I already have YouTube TV. I feel like that would be the best situation if it was on YouTube TV. But as you said, as Ryan Smith said, it's a step in the right direction. And hopefully, fingers crossed, next year when they don't have this terrible AT&T contract anymore, there will be more options to watch the game.
That's the hope. And I think that next year we'll be freed. Free the Jazz.
Free the Jazz, bro. Free the Jazz. Comment how you're watching Jazz games because
if you know, please tell us.
It's very hard. Right now I have my my VPN and I have League Pass India.
You're
but
going to get arrested now.
it doesn't always work. Yeah,
The
yeah.
FBI is going to hear this.
Yeah, all the listeners here are members of the FBI. They're gonna come after me. I'm sorry, but
He was joking. We'll just have to watch them all live this season
yeah, I was
in person.
yeah. That's the only solution.
In other Jazz news, NBA 2K in their 2K simulator has predicted Joe Ingles to win Sixth Man of the Year.
Let's go.
So
Let's go, Joe. He almost had it last year.
almost had it. Well, I hope the competition's between Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson again.
I don't see why not. I don't see how that couldn't be the case again.
So I'm excited for some more NBA awards for the Jazz this year.
For sure.
Also, Donovan Mitchell made the list for MVP odds
Okay.
at number 14.
Okay.
So he's not up there, but we'll take a look at that also a little later. Donovan Mitchell also featured on GQ Sports how I made my first $1 million, how I spent my first $1 million actually, and $90,000 on himself, all of the rest on his mom, his sister, and his foundation.
What a guy, bro.
So
D. Mitch, what a guy.
he bought himself a nice car, and then the rest he spent on his family. So very admirable from Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, obviously, just the best dude to ever play in the state of Utah, without a doubt.
Wow. Big take.
No, he's a beast. Yeah, it was awesome watching that video because I've seen this is a series that GQ Sports does, and a lot of the times they have celebrities or athletes, and they all have all these crazy purchases, and it's a lot of it's centered around them. But yeah, as you said, Donovan Mitchell only spent $90K on himself. Everything else went to his family and others, and that's just the type of guy D. Mitch is. So
$300,000 for his sister's tuition, $250,000 for a down payment on his mom's house, $250,000 to his foundation, Spida Cares. So definitely proud to have him in Utah.
for sure.
Now a little news around the NBA, as I'm sure you've all seen. Ayton has not been able to reach an agreement with the Suns. After discussions, they've ended without signing a deal. Ayton wanted the max. Suns said no. He wanted the 5-year max. Suns offered him a 3-year and a 4-year max. He said no. Suns won't pay. Is that a bad move on the Suns?
I don't understand. If you're already offering him a 4-year, why not do the 5-year? I don't know. And I think the Suns have this one little moment of time, this one shot to really win a championship. Especially Chris Paul. Chris Paul, he's at the end of his career, nearing the end of his career, and his goal is to win a championship. And this is the best situation he's ever been in to do so. And I think the Suns are just, their front office is, first of all, kind of messing with the chemistry of the team. And now Ayton's future with the team is in doubt. And Chris Paul is the guy who really makes the most of Ayton's game. He helps him reach his full potential. And I don't really understand. I don't really understand this. I don't know why you wouldn't pay him the max in your efforts to win the championship. Because Rudy Gobert, I don't know if he's really a max caliber player, but you had to pay him the max if you want to win the championship, as the Jazz did last year. So I don't know why the Suns wouldn't pay DeAndre Ayton the max to do the same.
Yeah, that's the question. Is DeAndre Ayton worth it? Maybe not. But is the team chemistry worth it? Is it worth keeping them together so you can run it back and have a successful season? You kind of have to just fork it over and give him the money. But
Yeah.
the Suns might have dropped the ball with this one, and it could be a costly mistake.
Right before the season too, it's just, I don't know. It's a little. If I was a Suns fan, I'd be definitely frustrated. But
I agree. Like I said earlier, the MVP odds have been released. Luka Doncic favored to win the MVP, followed closely by KD, and like we said, Donovan Mitchell at number 14. Do you think Mitchell could be a part of the MVP conversation this year?
I want to say yes, but I feel like with the way the Jazz operates, I maybe a dark horse, maybe he finishes like 10th in the overall standings for MVP. I don't know. I feel like I just don't know if he can put up the numbers individually to really be seriously in that MVP conversation.
Yeah, the Jazz are one of the few organizations that still play team basketball. They're a very selfless form of basketball. Luka Doncic has nobody.
Yeah.
He is clearly the best player on his team. He's the only player on his team, really.
Yeah.
So it's easier for him to stand out as like a diamond in the rough kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell, surrounded by a great supporting cast, lots of balanced scoring, sharing the basketball. So it's hard to really see him shine the same way that Luka does. But he's always in the MVP conversation within Utah, whether or not it's valid.
For as long as he's in Utah for the rest of his career, he'll always get those MVP chants at the free throw line near the end of the season. That will always happen. He'll always be the MVP in our hearts. But and I'd rather have it that way. I don't want Donovan Mitchell just carrying the team because we don't have options. I mean, the Jazz are pretty well-rounded. This could be the best team the best team they've had since '98. So yeah, I think I feel like Luka Doncic winning the MVP is very likely. If I was betting on it, I'd bet on him. But the thing that's really matters to me is if Donovan Mitchell can get that all NBA, because he deserves it. Just injuries last season didn't allow him to get it, but I feel like this year is finally the year he gets that all NBA status or ranking or whatever award.
Yeah, and he's been deserving of that for a while. So hopefully the stars align and he's able to get the award and also secure the bag, get that money that comes with that.
For sure.
So now we're going to take a look at the preseason. Definitely a little interesting. Off to a slow start. They lost their first couple of games, even if we couldn't watch them.
Yeah, that to me, the San Antonio Spurs game, the Jazz vs. Spurs game, the first game of the preseason, the fact that was not televised, an NBA game in 2021 is like ridiculous to me. I don't know. That's just crazy, but I digress.
But it seemed like it's preseason basketball. It's preseason in the NBA. So it's hard to get like a good feel for how the team's going to do because you don't really know. The rotations are changing. Guys are getting minutes just to test them out. But there were a couple very notable standouts. Jared Butler, obviously being the number one standout, averaging 18 points per game, 4.3 assists, and 49% field goal shooting. So he really showed out. He led not only the Jazz in both points and assists, he led all rookies in scoring during the preseason. So now the question is, how many minutes does he see during the regular season?
Yeah, I don't know. It was very impressive, his performance in the preseason. Some of it is due to the fact that the Jazz didn't really play their starters too much, especially in the first two games. But he looked good. He wasn't afraid. He drove. He got to the basket. He looked impressive. And yeah, I think he has a shot at getting into the rotation. We know with Quinn Snyder, it's very hard to get into his rotation. It takes some time. You have to earn his trust. You have to prove yourself. But Jared Butler could have a big role with the Jazz this season, especially if you want to rest Conley. I mean, last year we saw that whenever Conley missed time, you had Joe Ingles running the point, which at this point in his career, he's just too old. It puts too much stress on him. And then the Jazz were also very dependent on Mitchell when Conley was out. But now you have Jared Butler, who looks very confident, looks very mature, has a good game. He can fill in for Conley if he misses time. And so I feel like he could definitely get into the rotation.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you have to crack the rotation where you have Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, and Jordan Clarkson. All of those very good players. You know, you have Sixth Man of the Year, his runner-up, Mike Conley, who is one of the most impactful players in the NBA, and superstar Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
So you're a rookie coming in to that rotation at the 1 and 2. It's going to be tough to crack that. Plus, you add in the fact that it's tough to earn Quinn Snyder's trust.
Yeah.
But Jared Butler played in such a way that I think it's very possible. He plays very confident basketball.
Yeah.
He plays very smart basketball. He's able not only to score but to facilitate. And it shows a lot of maturity in his game. He plays like a rookie in the sense that he plays fearless. Like, he's not scared. You saw him take that 3 right in Giannis's eye.
Yeah.
But he plays like he's been there. He plays like he's not afraid, like he's done this before.
Yeah. I'm very excited to watch his game. And we saw 3 years ago Donovan Mitchell, or 4 years ago, whatever it was, the 2017 preseason. We saw Donovan Mitchell dominate that preseason, and then he went on to have a stellar rookie season. Jared Butler's in a little bit different of a situation, but I still see him eventually breaking into the rotation this year, and becoming very dependent on when Conley is out, and heaven forbid Mitchell is out. But yeah.
Yeah, and it does give you kind of that same feeling that we had watching Donovan Mitchell in the summer league in the preseason, his rookie season. The difference is, like you said, there isn't that opening.
Yeah.
The Jazz obviously missing an important guard that will not be named after a tough summer.
Yeah.
And Donovan Mitchell stepped up and was able to more than fill that hole. But hopefully Jared Butler is able to see some minutes, become an integral part of the team.
Yeah. The other player that we saw some of in the preseason is Hassan Whiteside, and he's a big question mark for me. I don't know what to expect from Hassan Whiteside. Can he be better than Derek Favors? Can the Jazz look comfortable when Gobert's on the floor? When Gobert's off the floor? I don't know. That's been a problem for the Jazz for a while. When Gobert's off the floor, they're not as dominant, and it makes sense that the offense runs through him. But can Hassan Whiteside fill that role to an extent when he's subbing in for Rudy Gobert?
And the other question is, how durable is he? How long will he last this season?
Yeah,
because he's on the veteran minimum contract. He's got something to prove.
Yeah,
but he's been in the league for a while.
Yeah,
he's getting older. Hopefully, heaven forbid, we don't have any injury problems. But I would hope to see an improvement. I love Derek Favors, great player.
Yeah,
Utah Jazz royalty, in my opinion,
for sure.
But it would be really nice to be able to upgrade that and not miss those crucial minutes when Gobert is off the floor.
Yeah.
Be able to capitalize on that time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Quinn can have a little bit of a Jordan Clarkson scenario with Hassan Whiteside. I think it's fair to say that Hassan Whiteside's been a little underwhelming for the majority of his career. But it was the same with Clarkson, and Clarkson came to the Jazz and found a role and blossomed into that role and became dominant, became the sixth man of the year. Can Hassan Whiteside do the same? Can Quinn Snyder help elevate his game? That will be interesting to see, because in the preseason he did look a little rocky, but I don't know. Give him time to acclimate, to get used to the system, and we'll see how it goes.
And that's one thing that Quinn Snyder does really well, is he finds players that fits roles and he helps them thrive. Jordan Clarkson being the prime example, but he's done that also. Bogdanovich becoming a very solid role player for the Jazz. Mike Conley becoming a great facilitator late in his career.
Yeah,
becomes an all-star for the first time in his career, very late in his career. So I think that if anyone can help Hassan Whiteside kind of have that renewal of his career and really hit his stride, it's Quinn Snyder with the Jazz.
Yeah.
Other notable player, Rudy Gay. Also question mark because of his foot surgery. He's been out for a while, but once he's healthy.
Yeah, he should be back soon, I assume. We didn't see him in the preseason, unfortunately. We won't see him tomorrow night. But I think he's probably the most important pickup of the offseason. There's a big role he's going to play in stretching the floor, in being another option as a shooter when you're playing teams like the Clippers who switch defensively, so all the pressure's not on Mitchell. He's a good defender. I think he's just going to be such an integral part to the Jazz team coming off the bench this season and playing in crucial game situations. It just is a matter of how he can fit in with the team, and we've heard that he's already getting along really well with the team. I was reading a Tony Jones article from The Athletic this morning that talked about that. It's just fingers crossed this isn't another situation that you had 2 years ago in the 2020 season where the Jazz signed Jeff Green and Ed Davis to kind of help with the same role that Rudy Gay is going to play, and they didn't even last until they were gone by December. It didn't even play. So fingers crossed Rudy Gay can be that stretch four, that key defender, that good shooter that the Jazz need off the bench.
And that's what they really need. Hopefully we're able to see him on the floor a lot this season.
Yeah.
He's able to work in minutes with Royce O'Neal, kind of be that wing perimeter defender and also three-point shooter. But only time will tell.
Only time will tell, for sure, bro.
So after a bit of a inconsistent preseason, we are now
finally here.
Here. It is almost game day. The Jazz taking on Oklahoma City tomorrow night in Salt Lake. Me, Jackson, and our dear friend and producer Jax will all be there. There are some injuries. Obviously, Trent Forrest still day-to-day with his concussion protocol. Eric Pascal has been limited to no contact during Monday's practice, as reported by Eric Walden of the Salt Lake Tribune. He's day-to-day. Elijah Hughes also day-to-day, and Rudy Gay is still out with his foot injury and surgery. So we won't see everyone, but I'm still very excited for the lineup. Hopefully get to see Jared Butler. The Jazz are favored to win this game by 12 points, according to Pick Center, and we will see one of our very dear friends tomorrow.
Bro, D-Faves, bro. Can't wait to see him, man. Can't wait to be there for that standing ovation. D-Faves deserves nothing but a standing ovation.
I expect nothing less. I'm confident that Utah will give him a warm welcome.
For sure.
Let's talk about some notable players on Oklahoma City.
Yes, the Thunder, with all their draft picks, their trillions of draft picks. This past draft, they had 6. They traded away 2. They drafted 4 players. The big name is Josh Giddey, the 6'8" point guard, 6th pick of the draft from the Australian National Basketball League. He looks good. I'm really excited to see him. I don't know if he'll get starter minutes. I doubt that, but I'm sure he'll have a big role in the game. You also have Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, and the Thunder acquired the rights in the draft to Jeremiah Robinson Earl. So those are the new names on the Thunder. And this past offseason, they extended Shea. I don't even know how you say that. SGA is what I call him. But they extended him to a 5-year, $172 million deal. And he's definitely their most dominant player. So it will be exciting to see them. I expect the Jazz to win this game. The Thunder aren't one of the stronger. They're one of the weaker teams in the West, but it will be fun. It will be a great time. You got the block party. It's opening night, babies. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think that the Jazz will win by more than 12. I don't think it's going to be a close game, but I'm excited to see how it goes. The Thunder in ESPN's power rankings are sitting at number 30, dead last.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
The Jazz, on the other hand, are number 5 behind the Bucks, the Nets, the Lakers, and the Suns. According to me, they should be higher, but that's okay. ESPN, we still love you. But I think it's going to be a bit of a blowout. I'm hoping. I'm excited to just see the boys out on the court again.
Yeah.
At Vivint Arena in the new black color scheme. But we'll talk more about that later. The other matchup this week, the Jazz will be heading to Sacramento. The Kings, who have not made the postseason for 15 years, now have drafted Davion Mitchell, the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, with the 19th overall pick. Fellow Baylor alumni,
yes, sir.
Jared Butler of Baylor, not Jared Baylor of Butler. So it'll be interesting to see those two, the rookies. Hopefully there's a bit of a storyline there. Maybe the Kings turned it around this season. They have not been good for a long time.
Yeah, they haven't made the postseason for 15 years. So RIP to all those Kings fans out there. They've looked promising at various moments in parts of seasons. The problem is they've never been able to put it together. They're pretty young. They won the Summer League championship this year, and their only free agent addition is former center Alex Len from the Wizards, and then they also added Tristan Thompson as part of a 3-way trade this offseason. So they have pretty much the same roster with a few additions. But I expect them to be a little better than last year. I mean, they're only getting better, building the chemistry. You have De'Aaron Fox, who is a good point guard. And so we'll see. You can never count out the Kings when you play them because they're always going to play hard. They're kind of like when the Jazz played Memphis in the playoffs last year. Yeah, the Jazz won. They won that series 4-1. But the result of that series doesn't show how tough the Grizzlies played because they're a young team. They played hard. Those were tough games for the Jazz to win. It's the same with the Kings, in my opinion. The Kings are they're always going to be playing hard, and so I expect a competition, especially as it's Friday night in Sacramento. This isn't the easiest game for the Jazz to win, I don't think.
And I think when you add a young, talented rookie to a team that's not great, it's a make or break for the rookie. With the pressure, you have Davion Mitchell added to the team.
Yeah.
That kind of pressure will either allow him to thrive or it will, have the negative impact on him.
Yeah.
So it could go one of two ways. I'd be happy to see the Kings do better. Yeah. It's always good to have some more competition in the West from other sources than the usual suspects.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like the Kings, and it'll be exciting to see Davion Mitchell play, former Naismith Defensive Player of the Year last year, national champion last year, as we mentioned, Jared Butler's old teammate. So it'll be a fun game to watch. I'm excited for that one.
And the Jazz are kind of known for their slow starts.
Yeah.
To the season. They usually end up finishing well, as you saw last year.
Yeah.
With the best record in the NBA. But should we expect another slow start to this season?
I want to say no, but probably yes. I don't know. That's just how it's gone the past few seasons. Last year it was a little better, but the 2 years before that, yeah, they're just known for their slow starts. I remember them losing some head-scratching games to like the Timberwolves and the Knicks last year early in the season. So I say we just expect the same because that's what we've seen. But don't panic. We saw that the Jazz obviously finished first in the West last year, best record in the NBA. They'll be fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a slow start, if we see a couple losses within the first week or so of the season. We'll see.
I'm not expecting a slow start.
Okay.
I wouldn't be worried if
Yeah.
we had a slow start. I feel confident in how we'll do this season. But with the training camp we had in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
the level of competition that was there, the team chemistry, the new additions, I feel like we're locked and loaded and ready to roll. I think that we'll fire on all cylinders early and get off to a great start and have a great finish. That's the hope. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be worried.
Yeah.
I think it's always there's always going to be some kinks to work out, but I feel like the Jazz are pretty set and they'll be ready to go early.
Okay.
And now we'll take a look at our predictions. 1 day away from the regular season, how do you see the Jazz finishing?
Yeah, I see them finishing first in the West, baby. I see them going 58-24. This is the first 82-game season in 2 years. So, welcome back, 82-game seasons. I see a 58-24 regular season in the works. That's my prediction. What about you, Kyle?
I agree. I'm seeing first in the West finish. I'm expecting at least 55 wins.
Okay.
I think that the Jazz are very talented. They're deep. They're durable. Aside from a couple, obviously, injury-prone players, I think that we'll be able to go the distance during the regular season and get a good playoff seed. And you know what comes next.
What comes next?
Not an early playoff exit.
Oh, for sure.
Western Conference
Championship
Finals,
or bust,
championship.
baby.
Yep. That's what
you
comes
saw
next.
you saw Rudy Gobert hitting that mid range in the Bucks game. It's
If Rudy Gobert can hit a mid-range jumper, we will win a
it's
championship.
over.
You saw it happen.
You saw it. It's not a lie. It wasn't those little those workouts, those workout videos in the off season. It was in game.
It was in game.
It happened.
He hit a mid-range.
And he didn't hesitate. He just went up and hit that.
I hope to see more of those. I would be interested. The question is, what will the Jazz be wearing other than their championship rings next season?
Yeah, so if you haven't been up to date with all the tweets and the news stories, it's pretty much confirmed that the Jazz will be switching colors in the following season. I guess the 2022-2023 season. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I remember we talked about this on our first episode, and we were of the opinion that the whole rebrand to black was just to help unify all the Jazz's different colors. You know, they sometimes wear their throwback jerseys, they sometimes wear their city jerseys, and they have their regular set of uniforms, and they have this very diverse palette of colors. So we just assumed that the black and white was for kind of like social media purposes, marketing purposes, to just help unify everything. But we were wrong, Kyle.
Yeah, it looks like, according to Ryan Smith, there will definitely be a rebranding.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen on Twitter, Jazz Nation, at Jazz Nation News, tweeted some theories about why it's almost certain the Jazz are going to black, white, and highlighter yellow. You that are watching can see this shirt that I'm wearing from the playoffs last season. Looks like the Jazz are going this way. They tweeted an example from the Jazz website, their schedule, which is all black, white, and highlighter yellow. The replies came from Ryan Smith, who said, no kidding, in response to people are overreacting about this.
Yeah.
But he said, by the way, that schedule looks two fire emojis, one eyeball emoji. So Ryan Smith seems to be a fan of the black, white, and yellow color scheme. Me personally, I thought the shirt was cool. I was excited to get the shirt.
I do like the shirt.
But I don't feel great about changing everything over to this. I've seen some jersey mock-ups, and I'm not a huge fan. And most of them are using the Jazz current gold, not the... Because this isn't the Jazz's current yellow.
Yeah.
This is a much brighter yellow.
You asked me before the podcast, what does the yellow represent? And I was like, I immediately said, well, it's Beehive, because Utah's the Beehive State. But you're right, that yellow is a very fluorescent
It's
yellow.
not a bee yellow.
It's not. It's interesting, man. I mean, and then you see Ryan Smith. He spoke at the Slope Summit, whatever that was, the tech summit they had last week here in Utah and Lehigh. And he talked about the color scheme, and he said the Jazz are going to be switching to a black and white base next season, and that it won't just be black and white. There will be other colors. I assume that means there will be yellow added to that. It's interesting. I don't know. We voiced our opinions on this before. It doesn't really make sense to me. In my opinion, it feels like an unnecessary change. But Ryan Smith, he is the new owner. He does want to give the Jazz a revamped brand. And as the owner, he's able to do that. I just don't. I don't know why we don't go back to the purple. I'm a big fan of the purple. The podcast, our logo is the purple, all that. It's just classic. And this black, white, yellow type thing, it seems like a fad to me. It seems like they're trying to modernize the Jazz and just take things in a direction where we don't need to go. But that's just my opinion.
There's a part of me that foolishly hopes that it's kind of like he's testing the waters.
Well, we saw with the font on social media, the Jazz have been using this font, this terrible like retro video game style font in their social media graphics for the game day announcements, and enough people complained in the comments that they changed the font. So maybe this is the same thing.
I hope.
Yeah.
But realistically, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that we need to resign to our black, white, and yellow fate, and have faith that they make it look good somehow. I'm not a huge fan, but I'll suspend my judgment until I see it. I know that at least for this season, we have our classic like icon association jerseys, and the city edition.
Yeah.
So we have at least one more season with the jerseys we know and love. Upsetting that we won't see the Purple Mountain jerseys again, because in my opinion, that's the best uniform in the NBA overall ever.
Yeah,
I said it, and I think it just represents Utah. So it's tough. I'm sad, but sadly optimistic, I guess. Maybe something good will come out of this. Something good will definitely come out of our giveaway.
Yes, sir.
What is that something, Jackson?
What is our giveaway? So, if you follow us on social media in the coming days, we'll be posting a giveaway. We have 2 free tickets. Yes, free. Great tickets to a great game, in fact. The Jazz versus the Nuggets on Tuesday, October 26th at 8 p.m. next week here in Utah at the Viv. It's going to be rocking. And so, follow us on social media for that giveaway, because, it's going to be sick. Who doesn't want free tickets to a Jazz game?
Amen. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think that might be a better game than the OKC game for sure.
I think so.
But, follow us, and you'll see details more on social media for that giveaway. That's all we have for today. Make sure to like and follow on both Twitter and Instagram. Not only for the giveaway, but for all of our great Utah Jazz content. Special thanks to our producer, Jax, behind the camera, the one who makes it all happen. You can hear me and him on our podcast, Big Hair and the Beard, also on Spotify and Apple Music. Stay tuned for new episodes weekly of Smooth Jazz.